Okay, today we are here to talk trash on possibly one of the biggest Square Enix Squaresoft characters, maybe even the biggest and most popular, Cloud fucking Strife. Now, my opinions are going to be controversial on this one, as most of my opinions are. Truth is, I hate almost every main character in every franchise, minus a few exceptions. They tend to be the boring ones, or the Mr. Perfects, or whatever. Sometimes it surprises people that I can say that I love Final Fantasy and I'm like one of the hugest Final Fantasy fans, but I don't like Cloud. Now, the reason for this is he's overrated, okay? Cloud is overrated. His character is boring compared to most other characters. Destiny's burden weighs heavily on Cloud's giant sword. If that doesn't sound like an innuendo, I don't know what does. I think he might be overcompensating with that sword of his. As far as I'm concerned, Squall probably has bigger cock. Just saying. Okay, so I'm not gonna have any video footage for this one because there's just too many freaking sources, to be honest. And really, I just want to rant. So, Cloud Strife. Now, even his last name tells the story of him. He's in strife. Okay, he's got all these problems, blah blah blah. Typical main character syndrome. And he hates himself, which is really common in JRPGs for male main characters, or main characters in general. Lightning and Cloud are a lot alike. But to me, there are characters that get overlooked a lot of the time, especially in Final Fantasy VII. My favorite in Final Fantasy VII is Tifa, or Tifa, however the hell you want to say it. And she's strong, and a strong woman who fucking kicks ass and has a terribly tragic story. Way more tragic than Cloud's, or at least equally tragic to Cloud's, but becomes insanely sexualized, which is fine. I mean, she's sexy, but that's all the fandom sees her as, instead of whatever. Though a lot of people sexualize Cloud too, and a lot of people just see him as sexy or pretty boy or whatever. He's always talking about sins and if they're forgiven, and he's always freaking talking about the past. He doesn't live in the present or the future at all. I, on the other hand, do really love Squall. He is my favorite of the protagonists of Final Fantasy. And it's funny, because a lot of people give Squall shit. And a lot of people say he's just an angsty, emo, teenage boy, but really, I see that way more in Cloud. He's got his angsty mood swings, he's got his drama, he's got his relationship quabbles, etc., etc. I just see him as kind of this insanely depressing, yet also overly emotional person. I don't know. I don't see Squall the same way that I see Cloud. I see Squall more as a sociopath, which maybe isn't better, but yeah. I don't know. Cloud's past is pretty traumatic, just the same as all protagonists from Final Fantasy. But really, everyone in Final Fantasy's life is screwed up, and he needs to lighten up. That holding on to the past thing is something I don't click with. It's like, one main thing that I really hate about a lot of characters, like Elena Gilbert from Vampire Diaries, always talking about her dead parents, or Peyton Sawyer from One Tree Hill. Oh my god, my parents died, blah blah blah. And I don't really like that way of being alive. It's really off-putting to me, and it comes off as crying out for sympathy, kind of like I call it selfish empathy, which is whenever the world revolves around you and everything is about your problems, and then you twist everything around to be, oh my god, I'm this, I'm that, I'm not good enough, I'm not this, and it's really annoying to me. Like, I genuinely hate characters like that, and Cloud gives me those vibes a lot of the time. Now, I'm ready and willing to see him in a different light whenever the remake comes out, but if he follows the same trends, I'm gonna say I'm not really that big of a fan. As for my favorites in Final Fantasy VII, it would be Tifa, Reno, and Barrett, but yeah. One of the most heartbreaking things in Cloud's story is Zack, and that's one of the things I do sympathize with him, because losing a best friend is really difficult, especially to death. I have some experience with that sort of situation, and I do sympathize with him, but it's also war, and it's also like, you can't dwell on that. You can't. You won't be able to enjoy your life if you dwell. And it's war. And people die in war. That's a fact. And all the Final Fantasies kind of focus around death and war. So at the same time, it's like you lose a little bit of the sympathy, because overall I think Cloud has a lot of moments. I think he can be funny. He can be serious. He can be an emo fucking teenager, but at the end of the day, I mean, he's still a great character as far as characters go. I'm not gonna rag on him too much. I don't hate his guts, he just bores me, kind of. I'm far more interested in the other characters like Sephiroth, etc., than Cloud. I think that he is overrated. I think that Final Fantasy VII is overrated. When I say that, I don't mean it wasn't good or it isn't good. It is. It's good. But it's overrated. It's been overused. It's been turned into 15,000 different things, and I just hate that we don't get to see that with Final Fantasy 8, 9, 10, etc., etc., etc. All the other Final Fantasies I'd be interested in. 6, 3. It's 7 sells, that's why, but that's the thing. It's so popular, but the other stories and the other things are just as good. And the other characters are just as good, even if people don't recognize that. And Cloud, he's funny sometimes, especially in the Final Fantasy VII, the original Final Fantasy VII. I liked Cloud a lot more back then than what he's become. But yeah. Alright, that was just rambling. I still think he's overcompensating with that huge sword. Just saying.